Welcome to the National Weather Service Spokane's weekly weather briefing for Monday, February 9th, 2015. Here is the overview for the upcoming week. Today through Tuesday will be the most active period of the week with numerous showers, some spring-like producing locally heavy rainfall. The pattern will finally shift by midweek as a dirty ridge builds over the region and persists through the weekend. While confidence is low, models are hinting at the potential for a shift in the large-scale pattern, which could result in cooler temperatures and potential for snow in some areas. So during the next 36 hours, an area of low pressure will be tracking through the region. This is a mild low with maritime origin, so we will not see a sharp drop in snow levels or cooling as with most winter low pressure systems. The system has already entrained subtropical moisture that was aimed into the region over the last few days, and this will keep the threat for heavier spring-like showers through tomorrow. Rainfall amounts with this setup will vary greatly from one place to another given the localized heavier downpours, but we are confident that locations within the yellow circle will experience the most persistent activity and result in rather high amounts, while areas outlined in white will also be capable of higher amounts but carry lower confidence. Outside these areas, amounts will generally be less than a quarter of an inch. An aerial flood watch remains in effect for the Idaho Panhandle for the potential of small mudslides and minor flooding of creeks and streams. Missoula has also issued winter weather advisories for the mountains above 4,000 feet. Lookout Pass and Lolo Passes are rain at the current moment, but will be transitioning to snow by Tuesday. Dealing with concerns for main stem river flooding, the Coeur d'Alene River near Cataldo went above flood stage Sunday morning and looks to remain high through Tuesday. Exact impacts for each stage can be found on the bottom of the flood warning. We are also monitoring significant rises on the St. Joe near St. Mary's. At this time, the river is only expected to be near bankfull, but with rises coming from a combination of snowmelt and rain, there is some room for error. Heavy rains Sunday night brought significant rises to Paradise Creek in Moscow. With persistent rain to continue into Tuesday morning, we are looking at additional rises and potential for levels to reach flood stage. The weather will finally quiet down Wednesday and continue into the weekend as a dirty ridge builds in over the area. The term dirty ridge means there is a ridge but is not amplified enough to keep the region void of clouds and light precipitation. Most of this precipitation will focus over the northern mountains and will generally remain in the below a tenth of an inch in rainfall amounts. Transitioning from that maritime low to this dirty ridge does not allow any cool air to infiltrate the region, and a look at the 7-day temperatures from Moses Lake, Spokane, Lewiston, and Mount Spokane suggests yet another week of almost non-freezing temperatures, even at night. The snowpack situation around the region is generally below average and continued to deteriorate with the unusually warm and wet pattern of late. The only location that made some minor improvements was the Basins stretching from the North Cascades to the Okanogan Highlands. Looking at the 24-hour SWE, or snow water equivalent, change, it's evident that the sensors in the North Cascades contributed to this improvement, and all other areas in the entire region lost between 0.2 and 0.8 of liquid within its snowpack. To get a feel of where we are climatologically and whether we can make up any of these deficiencies, we will look at a few snow tells. The blue line represents record values, green average, and red historically lowest values, and the black line is where we are today. Some good news is that snowpack climatologically increases through the end of March, but in order to do so, we're going to need a major shift in the long wave pattern. This graph is at Stevens Pass at 4,070 feet. Further north, over Hart's Pass and at a much higher elevation of 6,500 feet, conditions are right on track, so you can see the difference between the mid-level snowpack. Further east, it looks like much more representative of the region with near record low snow. There is some hope, at least, for cooler air returning next week, as models are now indicating the potential for high pressure to retrograde off the coast, amplify, and pull cooler air down the northern Rockies. At this time, models continue to waver on exact placement, so confidence is low. However, if this was to occur, we would see cooler air coming from the north, moisture approaching from the southwest, and maybe the potential for a collision in the northwest. Another solution would indicate just a cooler northwest flow, which is favorable for snow showers across the Idaho Panhandle and northwest Montana. This scenario has more model solutions supporting it, but details are still far from certain at this point. The 8 to 14 day outlook for next week has backed off on above normal temperatures anomalies and below normal precipitation, at least from the previous forecast, so it will be interesting to see if this trend continues over the next few days. So in general, rain will continue to impact the region through Tuesday, with localized flood and mudslides. Drier and continued mild for the second half of the week, and possibly a transition to at least a more seasonal temperatures by next week, perhaps some snow. Please monitor our forecast through the week for updates. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good day.